Breeders' Cup is just around the corner and it moves back to the west coast of America for 2012 as Santa Anita is going to be the host once again, and of course Santa Anita back on traditional dirt. Rachel Candelora from Churchill Downs is with us now to take a look at some of the things we should be looking at to try and find the winners going in to the Breeders' Cup series, because as we mentioned throughout the build-up to Breeders' Cups over the years, prep races become very important, and where the races are run, very important, and Santa Anita has its own unique kind of brand. Yes,
well, considering it is a Californian-based track, so the main overriding bias of the Californian Breeders' Cups is California horses tend to have a huge better record than any other horses coming. However, as we'll see in a few minutes, the Europeans don't have that bad of a record at Santa Anita.
Santa Anita is unique in many respects. We've mentioned already about it now being dirt, but of course people mustn't forget the last 2 years that they've held the Breeders' Cup, which is 3 years ago and 4 years ago. It wasn't a dirt track.
In 2008 and 2009 it was an all-weather, it was poly track, so that changed the bias a lot. For a lot of Euros came in and did much better than they would on traditional dirt, but it's now back to traditional dirt. It's a very front-running, speed-biased track, and the turf is also a very speed-favoring track, because it is, the official going here would be like firm, good to firm, firm, and then firm in places. It's more pavement, asphalt, so it's very, very quick. And the most interesting feature about Santa Anita is the turf sprint track. It is unique to America because it's actually a separate track, very much like is Britain, and it's actually based off the Brighton and the Epsom 6.5 furlong tracks. It's downhill, dog-leg into the straight, so you actually need a horse that has course form, because most horses in America, we run flat around turns. We don't run down hills, over crossings, up straights, and you more need 7 furlong sprinters because they run really hard down the hill and then they have to kick again. Almost very much like York, the 7 furlong sprint, once you hit the end of the dog leg, and then when you get back onto the main track, everybody kicks again.
Let's talk about why it's so difficult for other horses, therefore, to win in California. And although the Europeans haven't got a terrible record, horses coming in from, if you like, the colder states, horses coming in from Kentucky, in particular from New York, don't have a great record. First of all, the ship. It's a big time difference between New York and California.
Yeah, because also American horses aren't used to shipping. I mean, most European horses can get on a plane, go to Ireland, go to France, go to Italy, go to America, no big deal. But American horses were based at the track, and we just go to the track. So a lot of them are shipped a week, 2 weeks out. But shipping to California, when they've been used to fall, cold weather, and all of a sudden you're in California, it's 90 degrees, 100 degrees, it's really humid, it's right outside Los Angeles, so the air quality is atrocious, to say the least. It's just a really different atmosphere that they have to get ready for, and a lot of them don't.
Let's take a look at a little graphic that Rachel's put together then for some of the things that we should really note about Santa Anita and about basically the kind of horses we really want to see. First of all, let's take a look at how the Europeans have done at the previous 5 Santa Anita Breeders' Cup. And remember, it returned to dirt in 2010. So talk us through this. The overall wins to racers actually looks pretty impressive.
It does look pretty impressive. European-based horses have won 16 times from 50 collective races, and you have to remember in 2008 and 2009, all of a sudden the Breeders' Cup went from 7-8 races to 14 races, so a lot of the races were run on polytrack and turf. But European-based runners have really good records in the Breeders' Cup turf, particularly in California. 11 wins from 19 races. That's one of the highest percentage from anywhere else in the country. And it may just be because the turf is firm, and throughout the summer, particularly a summer like this, most good ground horses don't find their ground till the end of the season, so they're actually just coming into their own, and then it's a $2 million race, $5 million race, $1 million race. You might as well go for it. Main track winners at Santa Anita, this is the interesting one. From 31 main track races in the Breeders' Cup, the last 5 times run at Santa Anita, there's been 5 European winners, but only one of that has been on the actual traditional dirt. 4 others have won on the all-weather when it was polytrack, and Ravens Pass winning the Classic was probably the most well-known example, but there was also a juvenile winner and a couple marathon winners. So,
and the one traditional dirt winner was Arcong?
Yeah, the French-based Arcong, who's still to this day the highest, longest shot ever to win a Breeders' Cup. So Hopefully we'll get one again, but we don't know.
So that's the worrying statistic then. 1 from 31, and it was a huge price horse at around about 90 to 1, our Kong, who won on the Santa Anita dirt when it was traditional dirt. Now, key things to look for when you are trying to find a horse that might be suited by Santa Anita: speed, and a bit more speed.
Yes, you want a horse who's definitely either on the front end or likes to sit 2 or 3 back, and that's where it is, particularly come a little bit wide on the turf and then shoot down, because it is American track. Your final stretch is not that long. We're not talking a 5 furlong home stretch, we're just talking about a furlong and a half. And then on the turf track, it is a very, very tight twisting turn, very much like Chester or anywhere you just got to keep turning. So if you have a horse that gets unbalanced, or a big horse, they need to go wide and they need to start running a lot earlier, because you don't have that long of a run into the finish.
And we mentioned, of course, about the sprint track, which is 6.5 furlongs down the hill, looking for a horse, therefore, that can go a little bit of a distance of ground, maybe a 7 furlong horse, and it's also very tight on the